Hello, everybody. I am very pleased to meet today with Gordon James. Gordon is a retired Antiochian priest, and and today we will discuss the different rites, like the Western and Eastern rites, just to clarify that issue, since there is a lot of misunderstanding, particularly of the Western rite. Welcome, Gordon.
Thank you very much.
Gordon, I would appreciate it if you can introduce yourself to the public.
My name is Gordon James. My last name is Burkheis, and I live in Saugatuck, Michigan, which is right on Lake Michigan. And I attend the Antiochian Church, St. Willibrord, up in Holland, Michigan. It's been about 3 years now since I was chrismated.
Okay, and this
And
is this is an Eastern Rite church?
this is an Eastern Rite church, but I come to it as a lifelong practicing Anglican Episcopalian.
Okay. In one of our discussions, you said that you are an Anglican Benedictine. What does that mean exactly, to be Anglican Benedictine? What is the difference with the mainstream Anglican? What is the difference with the Roman Catholic Benedictine?
It has nothing to do with Roman Catholicism. In the Anglican Church, they have many different orders: Dominicans, Franciscans, Benedictines, and they have an ability to be a part of a group that is displaced all around the United States. And we meet via the internet, and we meet usually once or twice a year in a certain location, usually in a monastery somewhere.
Okay, and
But
how you differentiate between those various groups, the Franciscan, the Benedictine, what are the difference? What are the difference between them? Like, what differentiate the Benedictine from all
okay,
the other groups?
maybe this will help you.
Mm.
I first wanted to become a Dominican because I liked preaching. I like to listen to preaching, but I'm not a very good preacher because I have stage fright to a great extent. So after going through them, I decided I wanted to go into a more silent and solitude order, which the Benedictine is. And they had a group called the Community of Solitude, and I had joined them.
Yeah, because the Benedictine, practically, they are based on John Cassian teaching, that's right, in terms of ascetical practices. For this reason, they are most likely the closer to the Eastern monastic tradition.
One of the things that drew me to the Orthodox Church, because I could not stay in the Episcopal Church, was the idea that Orthodoxy is based on monasticism. And I know I have a little monk in my heart.
Okay, I understand that. And
So
now
I like
I understand the link. Now I understand the link.
And it is the same with my wife.
Oh, wonderful. Excellent, excellent. Now, what rite did you use to practice when, like, what rite and what liturgy did you use to practice when you were Anglican?
The Book of Common Prayer.
The Book of Common Prayer. Okay.
Yes, my mother raised me to love that right next to the Bible.
Okay, and how different it is? Like, what liturgy it is? It is Saint Gregory the Great liturgy?
Pardon me?
What liturgy it is?
What liturgy it is? Oh, yeah. It's just the Church of England liturgy.
It is the Church of England liturgy. Yeah. Okay. Now, when you came to the Orthodox Church, first you choose right away. You choose to practice the Eastern Rite. That's right.
Yes.
Was it hard, the transition?
No, not really, because I was using for a long time in the Book of Prayer a small liturgy, and when I reached the Eastern and the Divine liturgy, it was like more liturgy than I could handle or love. So, it was a very great emotional experience for me.
Yeah, you like it, because it is like, it is more liturgy. There is more.
Yes, there's more movement, there's more singing, there's more psalms. That I liked very much, and so did my wife.
Okay. Okay, now, yeah.
May I say one thing? One thing that I did when I came in, because I have been taught through another program to become a very acute listener. So for the time during the catechumen period, and for a little while after I was chrismated, I just sat there and soaked it all in. I like waves on an ocean, over me and over me and over me.
Okay. Do you think that there is fundamental difference between the Western Rite and the Eastern Rite?
No, I don't, because I don't think I approach it. Well, I know I don't approach it on an intellectual level. I approach it on a very practical level. Those two are in me, and just sometimes one prayer, even while I do Eastern liturgy, in my mind I'll hear a prayer in the Divine Liturgy, and it will remind me of something in the Anglican liturgy, in the Book of Common Prayer, and it's like an expository prayer for me.
Like you from spiritual point of view, you don't feel that there is a difference in this case?
No, I do not feel there is a difference.
Okay, because
matter of fact,
the most important of prayer at the end is to communicate with God.
Yes, that's what I kind of think in my own way, that when I'm sort of mixing those both together, God is saying, "Oh, that's Gordon James down there."
This is the main point that in fact, I would like the public to hear. Why is that? Because the more I will repeat what I said just a few minutes ago, that the most important is our relation with God, is that communication with God.
Yes.
Like, certainly some people may prefer more, like, I won't say elaborate prayers or elaborate liturgies. Some people prefer more simple liturgies.
Yes.
We can say that the Western Rite is a more simple liturgy in this case.
Yes. Yes, I think it is more simple. Yes, it's more simple. I don't want simple to sound like it's a dumbing down, but it's a
no. We are talking about rituals, like
yes, the simplification. It's yes. I see what you're trying to say.
Yeah,
it is much more simple.
I'm not saying simple from point of view of spirituality. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I'm talking
understand.
about the ritual,
the rubrics and everything.
The sense, like what we see by senses, like, you know what I mean? And
Yes.
sensing, you know what I mean? Etc. Chanting, as you said, more chanting, you know what I mean? This is what I'm talking about. Like, because originally I won't say introducing the art into liturgy was that the goal was attracting people to do not be distracted during prayer or being bored during prayer. Like,
yes,
help us to concentrate on the word through the practice. This is the aim of introducing all that.
Yes.
Yeah. This is what I'm talking about, simplicity or not. You know, it's the simplicity of the ritual. It is the simplicity of in fact, liturgy is coming from ritual. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, I would. Do you have any knowledge of the various Western Rite traditions?
Just basically my own Episcopal Anglican.
Okay. But
I've been to Roman Catholic churches, and when I decided I couldn't be in the Episcopal Church, I tried the Roman Catholic Church, but something about it just didn't set right.
It is the same liturgy?
It's close, very close.
Very close.
Okay. Yep. Well, you realize in the Episcopal and Anglican churches, they have high churches and low churches. So they have kind of a high liturgy and a low liturgy. And the difference, probably one of the big differences between a high church and a low church is in the high church, there's more reverence given to the Mother of God, and in a low church, there's not.
Okay, I understand that.
Yeah, in a high church, they would probably use the Nicene Creed. In a low church, they would use the Apostles' Creed. Okay. One's more Catholic, one's more Protestant.
Yeah. What is the Apostle Creed exactly?
The Apostles' Creed?
Yeah.
It's just a small creed. Let me see if I can get it. I believe in one God, Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, and in Jesus Christ, his only Son, our Lord, who was conceived by the Holy Spirit, born of the Virgin Mary, suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, died, and was buried. He descended into hell, and on the third day he rose again according to the scriptures. I believe in the Holy Catholic Church, the apostolic line of succession, and the forgiveness of sins. And there's something in there about baptism, but it's just a small.
Okay.
It's a small condensed creed.
It is a small condensed creed.
Yeah.
Creed. Okay. Yeah. In fact, like, I would like to thank you, like, for those clarifications. They will be very helpful for the audience, for our public, for like, we need to explore everything. Always we fear from things that we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That we tend to be suspicious of things that we don't know. We tend to be not comfortable with things that we don't know.
One of the hardest things for me in the Eastern Rite was I had to get used to how things are phrased in English. Sometimes they seem a little backwards to me. I would put those words in before these words, that sort of thing. And that's only because I'm used to that language of the Book of Common Prayer.
Oh, okay, I understand that.
And it's my native language.
Yeah.
So it sounds more rhythmical.
It is in English too.
Me. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is in English, but an English that you are used to more than the translation. Mm-hmm. That was done with. Yeah, I understand that. I feel that for me, sometimes when I read the Bible, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes when I read the Bible, even when I read in English, I go to the Arabic.
Yes.
Because what happened, because I read the Bible initially in Arabic, and for me, the meaning of the sentences, how they are attached to my mind.
Yes.
Yeah, they like, when I read them in Arabic, I bring up all that memory when I translated them previously. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I understand that. This is also important for the public to know that once you are raised with something, it is always more ingrained in you.
Well, there's a church father, I don't know which one, that talks about, maybe it's Theophane, the recluse, who talks about letting the mind go into the heart. And if your mind says a certain sentence and it's kind of strange and it hits your heart, you think, well, is that right? And, do I feel that way?
Yeah, exactly.
The Paschal hymn for me this past Pascha it's a beautiful hymn, and I love it, but it just doesn't sound right to me. But I'm learning to say it and make it sound right.
Why?
Let's see. Trampling down death by death, and those in the tombs bestowing life. I would turn around and say, and bestowing life for those in the tomb. Do you understand?
It is the syntax.
Yeah, it's a syntax. It's a linguistic thing. But I'm more than happy to learn them, because some of the beautiful prayers in the English Rite, they say things so much better than I used to say them. So then I use those in my private prayers.
Yeah.
My private prayers is a big mix of both.
Oh, okay. Okay, understand that.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you have any final word, Gordon.
No, I just think that it's important if you're in church and it's the liturgy and you're in your community, then these things need to be discussed. But I think when you're doing your own private prayers, like me, I do the 7 hours a day like a Benedictine. I use a little bit of both. I use some prayers that really understand and affect my heart, and I use canticles from the Episcopal Church because they're just beautiful. I think in your own private prayers at home, you can mix the both.
Yeah, of course. There is no, I won't say, you can just read the Psalms if you want.
Mm-hmm.
At certain times there was no liturgy, there was no, the Psalms were, psalmody was the main form of prayer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's one of the reasons that I do like the Eastern Rite. The Episcopalians tend to chop up the Psalms. We go through them whole, all the way through.
Yeah.
And I like that very much.
Yeah, because in fact each one has its own theme, you know what I mean? And it is
Yes.
around a theme, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm reading a book by Sister Vasa about the hours of the day, and she explains it quite well.
Yeah, it is great.
But I think one of the big advantages too, and I guess I'll finish with this, excuse me, is the Antiochian Church allowing the Western Rite.
Yeah.
We are getting a lot of converts. Even in my little parish, we average about 4 or 5 or 6 people all the time that are coming into the church and being chrismated. And they come from different backgrounds. And a lot of them come from liturgical backgrounds like me. And so I think that is a good thing, because when we come in, we find out that we can do that too, that we can keep some of our past with us into the present. Does that make
Wonderful.
sense?
I understand your point. I understand
Okay.
your point. That makes you, yeah, even if you come to a community with an Eastern rite, you feel that you can keep some of your
Yeah, and people coming into the church will be, for lack of a better word, converts.
Yeah.
And if they know that there's that freedom within there, because what I see mostly in here when I read on the Facebook, well, they're all Greek and they pretend that they don't like us. I don't get that. I don't feel that at all in my church, because we have Romanian, Russian, we have some Greek, and that's because we're a little parish and we all have to be together.
That
And
is that is the main thing, in
yeah,
fact.
and
They have like
one of
being
the
together is most important than anything other.
and I could talk about this forever. And another thing, my priest is a former Lutheran pastor, and he was a deacon for 18 years, and then he became a priest. And he realizes that he grew up being Lutheran, and sometimes those prayers just automatically come into his head. And so when I went to him and said, Father, I know we're Eastern Rite, Antiochian. However, sometimes at home I still like my Episcopal prayers. Go ahead and say them. He
Yeah.
said, we have the Western
That is
Rite.
correct. There is no, like, I won't say, prayer is prayer, or everything that touch your heart and raise your mind to the word, to the Lord, is prayer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're going to say something simply. You said we were talking about simply. I'll tell you a little bit about me. I was a very, very bad alcoholic and drug addict for many years. And when I came into Alcoholics Anonymous, when I came back to God, I had to start at the very beginning, very simple, simple prayers. And those simple prayers, they're they're what started me back on the road again.
That is correct. That is correct.
Mhm.
There is no, like, our more simplest prayer is the prayer of Jesus Christ.
Yes, the Jesus prayer
Yeah,
is wonderful. I have a little ring that I do that on, and I say it all the time.
yeah,
Yeah.
because yeah, for this reason, this is the simplest, in fact.
Yeah.
But as you know, some people can pray it for hours.
Yes. Well,
Uh,
thank you for interviewing me.
Yeah, no, it is a pleasure, Gordon. The most important, like for me, it is the most important that we know each other. You know what I
Yes.
mean? We can't be a church without knowing each other. We can't be a church without being a community. And I believe this is what distinguishes Orthodoxy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
in the Orthodox Church, if we don't form a strong community, that means we are not following the Orthodox
Mm-hmm.
tradition.
Our priest lets us kind of form our own. We
Yeah,
have a really long coffee hour,
yeah.
and once a month we have a potluck supper,
Okay.
and everybody wants to do it 2 times a week now, or 2 times a month now, because everybody brings all this different food, and we talk about the food, and
Yeah,
it's
which is
much better
good
that way.
because as you know, like agape meal was part of the Eucharisty at the beginning
Yes.
of you know what I mean. There was no, it was the same. They used to break bread and drink wine during the agape meal.
Yes. Yep.
You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? For this reason, that concept of being a community is that really it is an internal part of the church. It is a fundamental part of the church.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gordon, thank you very much, and I hope we can talk in the future about different subjects. But
Yes. More than happy.
yeah, but certainly the message that he sent today is very important about the rites, about the prayer, about the most important is to communicate with God. You know what I mean, rather than to follow like very strict words. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean.
Yes.
It is not the words that makes us alive. It is the spirit that makes us alive.
Yes. Yep.
Thank you, Gordon.